My name is Bill Pulos, and I'm from Alfred, New York. I'm extremely honored to celebrate the Navy life of my good friend, Evan Love. I'm here to present him for his retirement ceremony. And before we got started today, we did a little work with the microphone, and we tried to decide whether to speak with the microphone or speak without the microphone. And then one of these guys said, "Please, don't give the microphone to the lawyer." So, in the lead up for today, I spent a lot of time wondering what I can tell you about Evan Love that you don't already know. I'll begin my presentation by telling you how much Evan loves his family. He loves his wife Cindy, his daughters Jessica and Kira, Cindy's children that I haven't met yet, Kevin, Stephen, and Michelle. Then there are all of their spouses and significant others and their combined children, all of whose pictures are on his office wall. If my count is right, and I'm not sure that it is, I think there's 8 grandchildren. Is that 8 or is it 5? Who told me 8 grandchildren? Nevertheless, it feels like 8 according to the captain. They are one big family. Then there are his younger brothers, both of them here today, Philip and Daniel, their spouses, and their combined families. They are all dear to his heart. As the oldest son, Evan has worked hard his entire life to set the example for his younger brothers. He left home early to become a military man. Because of that, his younger brothers in high school could proudly say, "Our brother is in the United States Navy." They've been able to say that for 42 years. And then, of course, his mom and dad. I have a strong feeling that Evan takes great comfort, particularly today, knowing that for everything he has done, he can think of his parents and say, "Thanks, Mom and Dad, for your confidence and encouragement. You've been with me every step of the way." One of today's most important takeaways is that the support of Evan's family over the years has meant everything to him. Would all of Evan's family take this minute and please stand up and be recognized? Everybody stand up for a minute. Let's take a look here. Let's give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Beautiful family. All of you know very well the sacrifice the military places on your family. Evan made the decision early on to be the best father he could be for his daughters, regardless of station. His family are his pride and joy to this day. As Cindy can attest, Evan embodies the belief that all children, no matter their age, must be assured of their dignity. Evan continually emphasizes to everyone how important it is for him to dedicate his time to all of his family, to help them to be unique and true to themselves, to give of themselves with community service. He was and is a loving, compassionate husband, father, and grandfather. Evan's maritime legacy started with his father's service in the Navy. What father would not be proud of his son with all of Evan's achievements? Although Evan's dad is not here today, if he was here, he'd put his arm around Evan and say, "I'm very proud of you, son." To his entire family, I am here to testify, Evan is very proud of you all. And he has worked his entire life to make you proud of him. Now, this presentation would not be complete without a recitation of the captain's numerous military achievements, medals, and postings. They are numerous, as you can see, and they are impressive. Putting it nicely, I've been advised not to spend too much time on them. But at the risk of being thrown overboard, let's take a minute and put a voice to those accomplishments. The Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, 2 awards of the Joint Service Commendation Medal, 5 Joint Service Achievement Medals, the Navy Commendation Medal, 4 awards of the Navy Achievement Medal, the Information Dominance Warfare Officer Pin, the Enlisted Submarine Dolphins, Expert Pistol Qualification, Expert Rifle Qualification, Active Service on the USS Francis Scott Key, the Officers Commission, Service in the United States Central Command, Office of Naval Intelligence, Defense Intelligence Agency, Striking Fleet Atlantic, Fort Sheridan, Active Service Deployment during 9/11, the hurricanes, like last 2 weeks, and the United Nations as a division officer, department head, executive officer, and as commanding officer. There are others, but that'll do for now. Does it sound like this man has worked hard? If you think so, let's give him a hand. To me, these numerous awards reflect the passion Evan Love has had for his fellow sailors, the United States Navy, and his country. But as I was talking with the brothers here this morning, what kind of a speaker would I be if I didn't ask a couple of questions? 1, how many U.S. Navy captains today did not begin their training at the Naval Academy, or did not begin their education with Navy ROTC? 2, how many captains today started as the lowest level enlisted man and E1 seaman recruit? I suspect the answer is not very many. So, if anyone here has access to the personnel department, here's your assignment. Find anyone in the Navy that went from E1 to 06 with no Annapolis, no Navy ROTC, and retiring with 42 years of combined service. I bet that is a category of 1, and that would be the guy sitting right over here. Considering that Evan enlisted at age 17 and over 42 years was promoted to E6, commissioned as an ensign, promoted to Lieutenant JG, Lieutenant, Lieutenant Commander, Commander, finally achieving promotion to captain during one of the proudest days of his life, I'm here to say we are breathing some rarefied air in the presence of this military man, one with an historic record of achievement in the history of the United States Navy. So much for all those things you can find out about during the reception after. Now, I'd like to talk about some things not so public. Evan was born in Los Angeles. Evan's parents met in college at UCLA. His merchant marine father rose to the rank of First Lieutenant U.S. Navy, used the GI Bill, and became a college professor. His mom was a teacher as well. At an early age, his family moved all the way across the country to Geneseo State College in western New York. His young life was not easy. His parents divorced, and as a youngster, he had a tough time being a new kid, adjusting to life in a small town school. In 1972, Evan's mother moved herself and her 3 sons to a little town called Almond, New York, in the southern tier, not far from where I lived. It was shortly after Hurricane Agnes buried Almond and everyone downstream throughout the entire Susquehanna River Basin. Evan's mom began teaching at Alfred State College. Richard Nixon was the president. The Vietnam War was being fought. Country music star Loretta Lynn was famous for Coal Miner's Daughter. Evan and I met in high school when I was a senior and he was a sophomore. He had transferred in that year from where I didn't know anything about him. To my memory, we first met in the swimming pool. I was captain of the team, and I was in charge of practice. There were only 4 lanes for working out in the pool, and there was not a lot of extra space. You could say during that time I had an attitude and some discipline in the water. I learned it in my early years, getting bounced around by the older guys on the team, as I'd been in that pool since I was in 6th grade. As far as I was concerned, as a new team member, you had to work your hardest to prove yourself. You could also say as team captain, I did not tolerate much lift from anybody in the water. I say this respectfully. Evan Love had 2 traits when he started swimming. He had an attitude and he had some lip. I can't say I embraced him at the beginning. You could charitably say I didn't give Evan much slack. Little did I know about the challenges he was facing. I had no idea what his background was, what he had gone through, and what it must have been like getting in the pool in a strange place. But there was something about Evan Love that endeared him to me. He always showed up and always worked hard. He had the guts. He began swimming the events I swam. 2 of us every night out in the same events. He took everything I gave him and never backed down, was always supremely self-confident. He learned and embraced the discipline required to survive and thrive in the water. As our season wore on, I could see that Evan was more than a kid with a chip on his shoulder. He was working hard. It is obvious to me now that on his own, he was bringing everything he had in terms of energy and competitive ferocity. He found out who he was in the water and what he could do. Because ultimately, you are by yourself in the water. It's you, your breath, and your strength. It's an altered state, and it takes courage to go there. You cannot hide. The process defines you. Near the end of the season, we had a swim meet with some intimidating competitors. At the beginning of our race, one of my rivals got in my face with a little trash talk. Before I could say anything, Evan jumped in and told this fellow that I would be out of the water, on the deck, drying myself off before the other guy finished. Here was this 15-year-old kid jumping into the fight on my behalf. He put my interests before his. At this point, I could tell his time was coming. I could tell he wanted to be a winner and part of a winning program. I could tell he was going to be the leader, the alpha dog. By the end of the year, he was my friend and teammate. I knew he was going to break my school records, and he did. At the end of that year, Evan wrote me a thank you letter for our time together, and it made a real impact on me. I kept it, and I still have it. Little did I know then about Evan's evolving awareness of leadership, confidence, and gratitude. The letter was my clue. It was a window to his character, which has served him so well with his family, his workplace, and the Navy. Then and there, Evan taught me something. He showed me that I could have a positive impact on others. He taught me to recognize there are always other people helping me in life, and the importance of thanking them. Those are lessons I have not forgotten. During our time together, he was developing the traits that would serve him so well in life: dedication, desire, determination, and discipline. These define his passion for the Navy, for the sailors he served with, and the people under his command. He has always felt a special connection to the enlisted man with empathy and respect. He has never forgotten his roots. Evan, Love, and my brother became the swim team captains, and they graduated 2 years later in 1975. Popular TV shows at the time were All in the Family, Happy Days, and MASH. There's a few people in this room old enough to remember those shows. I know that. The Cincinnati Reds would win the World Series 4-3 over the Boston Red Sox, and later on the Pittsburgh Steelers would win the Super Bowl. Evan's younger brother Phil was also on the swim team. Is anyone surprised to know that brother Philip followed Evan's example by breaking records and then going on to a stellar Navy career, retiring as a full commander? At our Alfred-Almond School, Evan and Phil are the highest ranked military alumni brothers in the school's 75-year history. It was during this time Evan was doing something so vitally important. He was the role model for his brothers. His strength, pride, attitude, nerve, and courage showed his brothers that they too had a future, that hard work, perseverance, and faith would be their key to success in life. It was their older brother that showed them and set the example. In 1775, the Continental Congress established the Navy. One of the Navy's earliest beginnings was due south from here in Whitehall, New York, where the sailors and the Army headed north through these very waters for Fort Ticonderoga and Lake Champlain during the Revolutionary War. 200 years later, in 1975, Evan enlisted at age 17 with the rank of E1 Seaman Recruit. He had to have his mother's written permission to enlist. He went to sea, and I lost track of him. He scored well on his entrance exam and entered the Nuclear Power School in Orlando. As all of the sailors here understand, Nuclear Power School is a different animal. Despite his lack of training in physics, materials, and math, Evan used what he learned about himself to develop his own study skills. He mastered the coursework and graduated near the top of his class. Next step was the submarines, a ballistic missile boat. Evan completed his qualifiers in a single patrol, followed by his nuclear qualifiers. He completed 5 Cold War strategic deterrent boomer patrols as a nuclear reactor operator, 70 days each. After his 6-year hitch ended in 1981, with his honorable discharge as an E6 when Ronald Reagan was president, Evan continued in the Navy Reserve and enrolled in the pre-engineering program at Adirondack Junior College. He already had a young family. He worked part-time to support his family and his children. The combination of family, school, work, and reserves, plus his overwhelming, intense desire to succeed, drained him and made him physically sick. The pressure he put on himself to succeed almost got to him. Nevertheless, due to his outstanding attributes, Evan graduated junior college with a 3.9 index out of 4.0 in engineering science with acceptance into the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute engineering program. Evan graduated from RPI with high honors and a 3.6 Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering, all in 3 years, 4 months. Shortly after, at the age of 28, Evan received his ensign commission in the Navy. Of course, there's a civilian side to Evan's life. Once graduated from RPI, Evan landed a job at the prestigious Knowles Atomic Energy Labs in Schenectady, where he's worked for 32 consecutive years as an engineer. If you're wondering, these photographers here today, they're part of his co-employee staff from Knowles. And thanks, guys, for showing up today. I know you're working for free, right?
Of course.
The company's core values define Evan's life. Commitment to the team, formality and discipline, personal ownership and responsibility, unwavering ethics and integrity, respect for the environment, safety and health, and service to our country. Among other things, Knowles has developed a series of nuclear reactor and propulsion plant designs for the U.S. fleet, including the USS Triton, the guided missile cruiser USS Bainbridge, the Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, the Los Angeles-class fast attack submarines, and the Ohio-class ballistic missile subs. He has helped design the Virginia-class fast attack reactor. He's been chairman of the morale team for 200 people. He's been on the internal board of the Veterans Group. He was the Prometheus Space Program Manager. He's enjoyed the role of formal mentor for colleagues over the years. And his last assignment was manager of the fissile material. Fissile material is the stuff capable of sustaining a nuclear fission chain reaction. I reconnected with Evan in 2011, and I still had his letter from 38 years ago. Since that time, he and his wife have been very generous and have given me several gifts. Probably the most prized is a cap from the Silent Service, the submarines. Although I'll never be able to claim the honor of being a member of the United States Navy, I'm going to pause here. And with the memory of Evan's deceased high school classmate, U.S. Navy Commander Christopher Gidlin, I'm going to put on the cap, which I just happen to have. And for the rest of this cruise, I'm going to act as if I'm a member of this very proud group here. Some of the best America has to offer. So after 45 years, I'm speaking from my longtime good friend, now one of the best and an American hero. We are all in his debt for all of his self-discipline and 42 years of single-minded sacrifice. On behalf of his parents, his wife, his daughters, his brothers, and all of their families, and on behalf of a grateful United States of America, it is my privilege to present to you United States Navy Captain Evan C. Love for the full military honors to which he is so deservedly entitled. I ask everyone to show their appreciation for this man's lifetime dedication to the U.S. Navy by standing, saluting, and applauding.